This isn't my typical type of video, but I wanted to share my experience in case anybody else is going through something similar and something similar and scary like that. And if it only helps one person that is watching this, it'll be worth making that video. Big disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. This is just my personal experience, and none of what I say that I did or didn't do is any kind of medical advice. I'm also trying to limit my screen time, so if you hear a lot of ums and ems and having me look down, this is where I have my notes, and yeah, I'm trying to limit editing to the smallest amount possible. Over the past several weeks, I've been dealing with something that I never really expected I had to deal at this age. I'm 37. I just had another baby, and yeah, I'm sharing this experience to hopefully helping other people and might notice these symptoms earlier. It actually started at the end of my pregnancy, where I started to see floaters in my eye, in my left eye. And it is a common side effect of pregnancy because of the increased blood flow. The doctors usually tell you, oh, that is like normal somewhat. If it's accompanied by protein in your urine, high blood pressure, swelling of feet, legs, your face, then it could be a sign of preeclampsia. So I've been having those floaters for a while, but haven't been diagnosed with preeclampsia. And then around 37 weeks, I went to another appointment, and there was the high blood pressure, my feet were swelling up, and they had to induce me the same day to get ready for this little one here. And I thought the floaters might go away after that, but they didn't. So after birth, I saw a lot of floaters, but they never really stayed for a long time. If you don't know what floaters are, they're like these tiny black spots that are in front of your eye. That for me at least happened only sometimes. So I would see these little dots, and if you would follow them, they would move around, right? And then they disappeared sometimes. I especially saw them when I looked at like a bright light or a white wall. Then they were like the most noticeable. Again, but it's a common side effect from pregnancy, but also a common symptom for preeclampsia, which I then had. So then after birth, there's also something called postpartum preeclampsia, and they monitored my blood pressure. Everything was fine, but I've been still seeing those spots. And at my 6-week checkup, I mentioned this again, and they were like, it can't be the postpartum preeclampsia. Your blood pressure is fine. You're not swelling. You don't have any of the other symptoms anymore. So it might be a good time to go to an ophthalmologist. Then I started Googling, and I didn't take it as seriously in the beginning because I'm also breastfeeding, and the estrogen levels apparently have a lot to do with this too. So sometimes you become dehydrated, the baby takes a lot out of you. You also don't sleep as much in the newborn stage. And, when you're tired, your eyes are like doing stuff too that they maybe sometimes don't do. And then the floaters were kind of on and off, but again, not really annoying or noticeable at all times. It was just sometimes that they popped up, and I didn't really think much about it until the last couple of weeks, where I noticed something different. All of a sudden, sometimes when I would just go from one room to the other and the light was slightly different on my left lower side, I noticed kind of like a crescent moon halo that was like there and gone in like a second. And you can imagine this as maybe somebody taking a picture with a flash, and then you look and nobody's there. It's kind of freaky, and I was like, okay, this might just be like postpartum things going on, or I don't know, I didn't really sleep last night. The baby woke up so many times to feed, so I wasn't really that worried until it kept happening over and over again. And if you read online on Reddit or other people's experience, a lot of people that just had a baby said, oh yeah, I'm experiencing like blurry vision or like floaters. It's like normal. Yeah, but those like kind of halos, they really freak me out. So I decided to make an appointment. Excuse me. Decided to make an appointment at an ophthalmologist. And I don't know if I'm the only millennial that doesn't like calling, especially like I've never really had a thorough eye exam. So I was looking for an eye doctor that I could just email or make an online appointment. Plus English is my second language, so I don't feel so comfortable sometimes when people are in their day-to-day jobs and like on the phone and like they want so much information about you, and I get like nervous sometimes to like not understand them. And so I found a doctor who you could request an appointment with, and there was like a notes box, comments box, and I wrote everything down that I've experienced. And I was like a Tuesday evening. On the next morning, I get a call from that doctor's office and told me that I should come today because it sounds a little serious. Yeah. And we made an appointment for later that day. And when I went, I drove there by myself, not expecting much besides maybe somebody telling me, oh, I need glasses, or I don't know, some kind of eye drops. They did a thorough eye exam, ultrasound, and like all these pictures and stuff. And then the doctor came in and she did more closer up eye exam, and she like rolled her chair back and she was like, oh, you have retinal detachment. Again, English second language. My mind was like, wait, hold on, let me translate this to my own language, which is German, if you never met me before. And then I just told her, that doesn't sound good. And she goes, no, that's not good. And she mentioned that I have to go see a retina specialist that day and probably have same day surgery. And she went into detail like what my options are and what they possibly do. And in my mind, I don't know, I don't like being told you have only this option. So immediately I was like, okay, maybe I'll get a second opinion, or like that can be the only option. Like, so I asked her, I was like, what happens if I don't want to do surgery? Because I don't know, I think there's a word, but I can't think of it right now. I have a severe phobia of eyes, which I think that's why I didn't want to go to the eye doctor. Like people looking in my eye, and like if even other people have like an eyelash in their eye, I can't look. It just grosses me out so much. Like I can't. So being told I needed surgery and that was the only option, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. And she's like, okay, the other option is you're going to lose your vision. And I think after she mentioned that, like I just started crying. I was like, oh God, I don't want to go blind. All I could really think of was I want to see my girls grow up. I have another older daughter. She's 2.5, and yeah, that's not really something that you want to hear when you go see a doctor. So the way she explained it, because I was like, is that normal in my age? Because you don't really hear about it. And she said if there's some kind of like if there's a family history, then that could like be happening more often. Sometimes it's like eye trauma, like you have some kind of injury or something, she said that it could possibly be the preeclampsia that, like, my blood pressure, like, caused this, but I don't think that's like a common thing that could do that or make. Sorry, that's not a common thing that would cause that. So yeah, it was also possibly. She said it could be possibly the birth itself that put like a lot of pressure on my eye, or maybe it was already like a little tear and that like did it. Eventually she was like, yeah, your retina detached 20%. And excuse me if I say the words wrong, but when your vision is basically mirroring, so your brain filters it in the correct way, or we see it upside down and then your brain filters it so you see it the regular way how we see it. So this halo thing that I saw on the lower left was actually at the top left, and I was just noticing it there. And at the end of that day they wanted me to go to that specialist right away, and I was by myself. They also put a lot of dilation eye drops in my eyes and I couldn't see. It was so blurry. And they were like, yeah, a lot of people drive after that appointment. I was like, I can't see. And then if you want me to go to a different doctor that I've never been to, I don't know the road, I'm like, I'm not going to drive right now. I'm going to wait. But that office also closed within an hour. So they were like, okay, well, we'll make an appointment for you for the following day. Eventually I drove home, and I don't know, being online and like looking up things that happened, I think I just got so anxious that I was Googling everything. And online a lot of people said, that if you already have a detachment, it sometimes can only take a couple of hours for you to go completely blind. If your retina detaches completely, there's nothing they can do. And I think it's also, I don't know that specific word, but if it goes like in the middle of your vision, like that's really, really bad. Like I don't know, I think the only way is to do surgery if they're still a little bit attached. And I kind of freaked myself out, and I was like, okay, I have 24 hours until I have this other doctor's appointment to see more, but what happens if I go blind within like the next 20 something hours? So I eventually waited until my older daughter was in bed, and I fed the little one, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the emergency room just to see if they're doing something. And I could have saved that trip because they just didn't take me seriously enough. They had an ophthalmologist on call, but I felt so silly going there because they didn't take me seriously at all. One of the doctors came into my room and said, oh, we heard like you're afraid to lose your vision and you have like a retinal tear and a detachment and whatnot. And she goes, okay, close one eye. And she holds up like 2 or 3 fingers and asks me to read. I was like, I can't see right now, but I just don't know how much longer. And she's like, oh, you'll be fine. And then she was like, oh, just wait here. To be honest, like if we call the ophthalmologist on call, they might not be here before the morning either. It was 10 p.m. or something when I went there, and my appointment the next day was at 10 a.m. And so she was like, you're better off probably going home and sleeping before you wait here, which I appreciate, if they know that the doctor won't come early. But then again, I read everywhere that it's an eye emergency, that they have to act really fast to not make it worse. So I didn't understand why I wasn't taken seriously. And I mean, in their defense, maybe they don't usually deal with eye emergencies, I don't know, but it was just kind of weird. And then they sent like one of the nurses in there, and they took me out to read the chart that you do at an optometrist, the people that give you the glasses. And it was just like those letters that get smaller and smaller. And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm reading this now, but I'm straining my eye even more. Am I not supposed to do that right now? Yeah, they did the test, and the nurse goes, oh, you have perfect vision. There's nothing we can do. You should just go home now. So they discharged me. I went home. And then the next day we went to the retina specialist. Yeah, and there in the office, they did a lot of other testing. They took more pictures, and unfortunately, the retina specialist had the same diagnosis and said that we have to have this surgery procedure today, because my tear is at the top. He said that one of the procedures is probably a good idea before doing the other surgery. I don't know how to pronounce this surgery. It's something with buccal, SCERAL, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he said that the recovery for that is a lot harder, and yeah, it's like major eye surgery. And the other option that he suggested was going to be done in that office today is called nomadic retinopexy, where if you're squirmy like me, I'm gonna put a chapter marker when I go into detail what they did, because I know it would gross me out just to hear it, but if you're not that I don't know, if you don't mind hearing about eye stuff, then just keep listening. But basically, he said with that retinopexy, they put a gas bubble in your eye, which works as an internal bandage to basically stick the retina back into place and push the fluid out that got through the tears, which makes the floaters and those light effects, those halos. And yeah, having a severe eye phobia, my husband was with me in the room, and I was like, I think I'm gonna pass out if they do anything. And the doctor, maybe I should have told him earlier too that I'm not really great with eye stuff, and he went into so much detail, like what he's gonna do, and I just felt like I needed to vomit right there and then. And he's like, okay, we're gonna see how you're gonna do it. If it's not working, we have to do the other surgery. But he said it is an emergency eye procedure to save my vision, basically. And at that point, I was like, I don't want to do it, but I also really don't want to go blind. It's such a, I don't know, weird feeling to really taking it for granted that you can see. I guess this whole experience just no pun intended opened my eyes in a way to just be so grateful being able to see, because we have two eyes, but even just thinking about losing vision in one eye, it's just nothing that you want to experience. Yeah, so basically he suggested that this procedure has a 70% chance of success. In my mind, I was like, that doesn't sound high enough to me, but if I can avoid other surgery, it might be better. And especially with two little ones at home, you have to, because of this gas bubble, it needs to stay in place, so you can't lie down, or depending where the tear is, because mine is at the top. I see the bubble at the bottom, but I have to be upright the whole time. I basically sleep in this chair right now because I'm not allowed to lie down. But with this other surgery, I don't know if there is other strict positioning recommended. Before I get into what they did or how it's going, I am currently in day 6 after the procedure. As I said, I have to sleep upright. I have to be basically upright all day long. With this gas bubble in place. It looks like you're looking through kind of like a bowl of water, or I've heard or I've read online that people compare it to like a fishbowl, which is pretty accurate. It's like very blurry, and then the top part where I don't see it is like also kind of, it's like clearer than the bottom, but it's so hard to describe. It's like, what are these levers called when you hang something on the wall? Hold on a second. Wasserwaage in Deutsch. Spirit level. I learned something new. It's like a spirit level where you see this water thing that tells you if it's level, that just keeps moving. That's actually like the best description of what is going on right now. If I look down, like I can see the whole bubble. It can take, depending on the gas that they used, this specific gas that they used here is supposed to take 6 to 8 weeks to go away. It's a little annoying, but I'll take it over losing my vision. But I'm right now in the waiting phase, and I feel like because I have this eye phobia, I'm really alert to anything in my vision. So sometimes I don't know if, not that I make it up, but I'm like so cautious, and I get so anxious if I see something floating around. I'm like, oh my god, is this my eye? Is this something that I should report back to my doctor? So a lot of things, like if you see more floaters, or they say like almost like it's raining and you can't count them, or if you see some kind of like curtain vision that like blocks one side completely, or new flashes of light, that's like an emergency and you need to go immediately back to your doctor. You know, like knowing that, I feel like I'm so much more anxious right now, because I'm like, is this? And then, you know, like I'm just super alert, and yeah, trying to not freak myself out too much, but it's really, really tough right now. What I can say, like, again, I'm in the waiting period, so I've had pretty close monitoring after this procedure / surgery. I had like on the next day, then I had to go on the following day, then like 2 days apart, and basically they are waiting for that fluid that seeped in before to go away. Apparently it's kind of slow for me, so I'm anxious there too, because I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, do I need this other surgery? And if I do need it, I have to be put under general anesthesia. There's no way I can handle this again. I'm not saying this to make anybody else anxious, but it's like you're just like being awake during this procedure when you're like not good with eye stuff. I don't think I can handle it that way, and I just want to make sure that if I do end up needing it, that I'm as comfortable and make it for the doctors as easy as possible, because yeah, I was very squirmy and very panicky on that chair, even though it didn't hurt. But so here comes the description of what they had to do. If you're squirmy like me, just skip this part. They basically numbed my eye, so you're awake throughout this procedure. They numbed the eye with like 2 types of different drops. I think it was like 2 rounds. I don't really remember right now, but it was 2 different drops. And then after they let this sit for a bit, I got an injection into the eye, which I don't really want to think about much. But yeah, that it was like nothing hurt, but I was just so freaked out, because you know, if something else hurts, or you are not good with needles, you can just look away, but you have to keep your eyeball open, and not that you can see what's happening, but you know, in your peripheral you see the doctor hovering over you, and just feeling so what's the word, I can't think of the word right now, but you're just there. You can't really do anything, and you know that it is for the best to have this done, but still I felt like I wanted to run, and like I didn't want it to happen. So after they numbed my eye and had the injection, they did ice it. I think it's cryotherapy. Is it called that? I don't know. Yeah, cryotherapy or cryopexy, where basically this really it's really cold and it freezes the tears that has happened. So I had a tear at the top and then another little hole onto the side where they had to basically glue it down or fix it with that cryotherapy. And after that they injected that gas bubble. I can't tell if it was a needle or not. I don't want to look it up. But after the injection, the doctor and the nurse were like, "Oh, you went through the worst part. Everything else will be a breeze." But just knowing I sat there and I knew I wasn't done was just kind of freaking me out even more. And then for everything else, like I could keep my eye naturally open, or like in the position they tell you, go look over to your right, look up, look down. They just give you directions. But for this gas bubble, I don't know what they put in my eye, but they had some kind of contraption to keep my eyelids open, and so you couldn't blink, which makes sense because they have to, go in there and seal this off or like insert the bubble. But that thing really freaked me out. That's when I really started to panic, because again, you kind of want to look away because you don't want to see it, but you're just there and you're seeing like people hovering over you and like putting stuff in your eye. So they put like I think 2 or 3 of these little gas bubbles in my eye in the direction. And at first, again, it didn't hurt. Like I don't want to, if somebody's watching me like, oh my god, I have to do this, and now I'm so scared. It didn't hurt at all. I think just my anxiety about eyes just made it 100 times worse. But again, we don't want the other option, right? So if you're currently going through this, you can do it. It was done in probably 15 minutes, and it only probably took 15 minutes because I was squirming for 5. But it didn't hurt. I didn't feel pain. It was just in my head that I made it that much worse. So in the beginning I saw like 3 bubbles at the bottom, and then they joined together, and now I have like 1 bubble. You can imagine it like the spirit level, or it's like a half moon shape on the lower side. And apparently it takes 6 to 8 weeks for that to go away, and they really know for sure, as far as my doctors told me, if it worked at about 3 months out, to see if all the tears are like basically glued down. And right now I can see at the top. The bottom is very blurry. But it's just a waiting game at this point, and I hope it will work out, and I hope I don't need additional surgery. If I do need it to save my vision, of course I will do it. How does recovery look like? Basically staying in the same position for who knows how long, I guess until they tell me not to do it anymore. I guess I got lucky because the tear is at the top, so I can stay upright. For people that have it on the sides or in the front, they have to either be on the side lying or facing down, which I can't imagine with 2 little kids, or even without kids. Like that just sounds hard. Yes, I'm sorry. And I'm not allowed to fly, but change in pressure could cause blindness because the gas bubble could expand too fast. No strenuous activity. Just trying to stay optimistic, I guess, at this point. And also, like, you get this bracelet after, which basically tells anybody, in case you have an emergency, that they can't give you nitrous, what is it called? Nitrous oxide. I think it's also called laughing gas, not sure. But yeah, that can also cause blindness, apparently. So yeah, keeping this on, keeping in the right position, no flying for the next 3 months, I'm assuming, or until this gas bubble dissolved completely. And yeah, just resting as much as possible. If you know somebody, or if you're going through that yourself and you know, you're not sure whether to get it checked out or not, I think it's always best to get an opinion before things go worse. For everything else in our body, for everything else that you have something serious, it hurts. The retinal detachment, I didn't feel like it didn't hurt to the point where I was like, oh, this hurts, let me go to the doctor. It's just like these flashes. And because if you Google, like, most of the people at the retina specialist when I went to the doctor's office were people 75 plus. Like, there was not a lot of people in my age, or none at all, actually. So if you look at this and you Google or you ask AI, it might come up, you know, and you're like, oh no, but I'm not that old. Better safe than sorry. Get it checked out earlier than not. And I'm so thankful that this one doctor, I sent that message through their website, took it so seriously and told me to come in the next day, because I wouldn't know what would happen, like if they would have seen me a week later. Nobody can tell, but I'm grateful for doctors. I'm grateful for seeing, for my vision. I said this before, but you know, we take it for granted so often until you have the fear of losing it, or if you've already lost it. Share this with anybody that comes to mind that might have similar experiences or symptoms. A lot of my friends that I told this, they were like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was like, neither did I. It's crazy what the body can do. And yeah, I'm just hoping for the best. And as I'm currently in the waiting phase, if you came across this video and you have a story to share, please share it below. Try to keep it maybe not too detailed in case somebody else can't handle like detailed description of eye stuff. But if you've been through this, how was your recovery? If you had that buccal surgery, how was the experience? How was the recovery for you? It's been such an emotional roller coaster these past couple of days. So I'm trying to stay hopeful, and yeah, for anybody going through this as well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. Talk to you soon.